Hi, we are from Group 6 and would like to present on our project research entitled The Adverse Effects of Climate Change on Low-Income Households in Malaysia, Student Perspective. These are our group members.
Hi, I'm Annie from CE.
Hi, I'm Grayson from CE.
Hi, my name is Lai Yan Kei from CE.
Hello, my name is Soo Wen Wei from CE.
Hello, my name is Teo Jie Yin and I'm from CE.
First of all, let's have a look at our introduction chapter. This chapter consists of problem statement, research question, objectives of study, hypothesis, and significance of study that provide a brief background for our topic and provide direction for our research. Also, to clearly argue the contribution of this study, which is to reduce the consequences of climate change towards the low-income household of Malaysia. In terms of earning power, the Malaysian household income level is classified into three groups, which are B40, M40, and T20. B40 represents the bottom 40%, which the household income is below 4,850 Malaysian ringgit per month. The B40 income group is given special emphasis in the 11th Malaysia Plan so that they could attain financial security while also increasing their socio-economic status. Even though Malaysia government is in line with the worldwide efforts, poverty reduction is the primary challenge for development in the 21st century as climate change poses a severe risk to reduce poverty and might destroy years of development efforts. Climate change is one of the critical global threats and could cause natural disaster to be more catastrophic and making developing countries more vulnerable to its negative impacts. The low incomes are more vulnerable to climate change due to their highly dependence on natural resources. As Malaysia is one of the developing countries, climate change also had a noticeable impact on Malaysia's environment and livelihoods. The adverse effect of climate changes such as abnormal seasonality and landmass loss in coastal areas will have a negative impact on the key economic sectors like agriculture that consist of farming and fisheries. For example, floods and droughts that are caused by climate change and environmental degradation can destroy natural resources like crops and livestock, which can cause financial insecurity. Furthermore, low-income families have more trouble dealing with the negative health consequences of flood and rising sea level, such as heat stroke and unhygienic drinking water. As the environmental impacts of climate change are obvious, the aforementioned issues are projected to have negative impact on the health growth, development, and economic well-being of B40 community in Malaysia, as they are heavily relying on the natural resources for survival. Action must be taken in order to achieve the 13 Sustainable Development Goals, which is climate action, and the first SDG, which is no poverty. The awareness of the SDGs should be promoted so that the world could take urgent action to combat climate changes to protect the earth. For the problem statement, it is believed that climate change has caused financial risks and various illnesses, but little attention has been paid to the climate change and its impact on the low-income household in Malaysia. Therefore, this study aims to study the effects of climate change on the financial difficulties and human health of the low-income household in Malaysia. This research also aims to investigate the relationship between the climate change, financial difficulties, and human health of low-income household in Malaysia. Before we proceed to the next chapter, this study can contribute to the society by raising university students' awareness, reduce the impact of climate change on the poor, and encourage transition to the zero-carbon communities.
Next, let us take a look at the literature review to set a foundational groundwork for our research. The current literature most often links climate change with physical destruction of property and assets, gradual changes in regional climates, and by extension their effect on the livelihoods of lower-income households. In order to better focus the scope of our research and link the general impacts of climate change mentioned earlier to specific problems faced by the Malaysian lower class, our paper aims to view this issue from the perspective of UTP students and their awareness and opinions on the impacts of climate change on the financial security, health, and general socio-economic standing of lower-income households in Malaysia. To do so, we must first understand the findings of priorly done research. First, let's talk about the impact of climate change on financial security of low-income households in Malaysia. Climate change poses a significant threat to poverty reduction and threatens the low-income households on their financial security. For example, due to the direct effects of climate change, the sources of revenue such as farming and fishing for many low-income households are being adversely affected. For the farming industry, findings show that a gradual increase in temperature is assumed to reduce 12% of crop yields. As for fishing, according to Jacob and Chow's 2005 study, the gross income of East Coast region fishermen have decreased up to 32% as the decreasing fish stocks due to the disturbance of the marine ecosystem has greatly affected the financials of low-income fishery households. Next, let's talk about the impact of climate change on health issues of lower-income households in Malaysia. Climate disasters such as flooding can introduce deadly bacteria and parasites to drinking water as they produce an environment conducive to increased transmission of vector and waterborne diseases, leading to high rates of cholera, malaria, and dengue as described by Hines and Patz in their 2004 paper. Climate disasters can also lead to the destruction of agricultural crops, which may lead to food insecurity and malnutrition. Furthermore, Williams 2021 describes that victims of climate disasters such as flooding are more prone to developing mental health issues such as post-traumatic stress disorder, increased levels of stress, and anxiety. Overall, it has been clearly shown that the adverse effects that climate change has on the livelihoods of lower-income households.
Next is the research methodology. A topic related to climate change was chosen and the target identified is low-income household in Malaysia. Title was narrowed down based on how climate change could affect the financial security and human health. Research and literature review were done by all members. Objective and problem statement were identified and hypothesis is developed. Research methodology was discussed and decided to collect response via survey form. A Google form was created and be shared to students and educators from University Technology Petronas to get their data. The data will be collected and interpreted into chart. The data is further analyzed and discussed by using SPSS, and a conclusion was made and hypothesis will be answered based on the outcome. In this research paper, quantitative method is chosen to collect the data from the respondent. In this survey, question is listed in a Google form where it focuses on the thoughts and awareness of the respondent towards our research topic, which is the effect of climate change on the low-income household in Malaysia. The form is divided into 4 sections. In the first section, which is section A, is asking for the personal data of the respondent to categorize them, while for the section B, it is focused on the findings of effect on financial difficulties. Furthermore, in section C, we'll be discussing on the effect of climate change on the human health problems, and the last section, section D, is asking for opinion from the respondent regarding the topic discussed. Thus, the objective of the research topic, which is to investigate the effects of climate change on human health and financial difficulties, will be discussed and analysed according to the answer from the respondent. According to Osikosali Momo 2022, population is the complete set group of individuals, whether that group comprises a nation or a group of people with a common characteristic. The population for this research consists of students and staff in University Technology Petronas, and the average age for students in UTP are 17 to 26 years old. The research is focused on the low-income household category. Thus, from the Google form, the respondents are separated by 3 categories, which are B40, M40, and T20. For the sample size, it is used to make interference and is chosen from the number of observation and data obtained from a population to include in a statistical interpretation. Google form is distributed to 40 students and staff in UTP in Malaysia as the targeted respondent. For sampling design, a good sampling design vital in make sure the data obtained will be able to represent the entire population and give the significant value and data for the research. According to Prita Bandari 2020, data collection is a systematic process of gathering observation or measurement. It enables one to answer the research question, hypothesis testing, and evaluate outcome. The Google form used for the research consists of 4 sections in total where the primary data collection is done. For Section A, the personal data of respondents is collected to categorize them into three main groups according to their household income. Besides, Section B of the survey is regarding the effect of climate change on financial security, while for Section C is regarding the effect of climate change on the health issue. The last section, which is Section D, consists of research questions to ask the opinion of the respondent about their perspective on the finding topic. Next section is the finding and discussion. The Section A is the demographic data of respondents. In this survey, a total of 40 respondents have filled out the form. The demographic data of the respondent is collected to understand the background characteristics of the respondent clearly and be able to study the impacts of climate change on low-income households accurately. In this section, the respondent will ask about their age group, categories, and household income level respectively. 25 respondents are between the age group of 17 to 20 years old. 11 respondents are between the age group of 21 to 24 years old, while 4 respondents ages 31 and above. Besides, a total of 32 respondents are undergraduate students, 4 respondents are foundation study, while 4 respondents from UDP staff. In addition, 23 respondents belong to M40 income group, 12 respondents belong to B40 income group, while the remaining 5 respondents belong to T20 income group.
The survey for Section B is to study the effects of climate change on the financial security of the low-income household in Malaysia. The economic development of one's country depends greatly on the financial literacy of its citizens, especially the low-income households, who are vital in establishing the economic potential. In this survey, the respondents were asked to evaluate their level of understanding of the meaning of financial security on a scale of 1 up to 5. Majority of them understood the meaning of financial security, whereby this knowledge are important to uphold their livelihood and socio-economic status. The data received portrays that 82.5% of the respondents were aware of the financial difficulties of low-income households in Malaysia due to the effect of climate change. This shows that the issue is still being concerned by most people, whereby the decreasing crude yields, landmass loss in coastal areas, intrinsic surface temperature, and rising of sea levels have negatively affected the source of income for low-income households. 85% of the respondents, representing the majority, believe that climate change had increased the stress on the financial security of low-income households. Climate variability reduces the quality of the natural resource base, affecting the role of the ecosystem in sustaining the livelihood and thus reinforcing the poverty of low-income households. Their livelihood is then narrowed to limited choices. The bar chart represents 97.5% of the respondents were aware towards the bad impact of climate extremes in key economic sectors such as agriculture, farming, and fisheries. The agricultural growth of one's country has a great impact on poverty reduction than other sectors, as agriculture is one of the key economic sectors for most of the low-income households. However, the climatic extremes have further led to reduction in agricultural productivity. All the respondents are concerned that a reduction in agricultural production to badly affect the gross income of the main low-income dependents of the agricultural sector, farmers and fishermen. The low productivity of the crops due to climate variability has reduced the source of income for the farmers. Meanwhile, for fishery production, the rising sea levels, fluctuating wave actions, occurrence of storms, and depletion of fishing grounds endangered the fishermen. The limitation of available resources have affected the livelihood of the low-income households. This is reflective of the above-mentioned phenomena are commonly mentioned in Malaysian media in regard to the topic of climate change. Based on the respondents' perception on the phenomena that could affect agricultural growth, the highest option chosen is degradation of the land, while the lowest is unstable wave actions. This proves that the respondents of the survey are more aware of the problems faced by the farmers as compared to the fishermen. Majority of the respondents agree that the states on the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, those being Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, and Johor, are more badly affected by climate change. This shows that the respondents are well aware of the effects of climate change on the above states, such as the critical erosion of coastal areas as well as severe flooding. The survey for Section C is to investigate the effects of climate change on the human health of the low-income household in Malaysia. The climate and subsequently fluctuations in weather patterns have substantial effects on human health. The World Health Organization has estimated that around 150,000 deaths occur in low-income countries each year due to four main climate-sensitive outcomes. Majority of the respondents are aware of the disproportionate adverse effects that climate change brings to lower-income households. Changes in temperature and precipitation may increase risks associated with vector-borne diseases, as well as threatening the mental health in the long term by physical morbidity due to exposure of climate phenomena such as floods. While these are general effects that affect low-income households more strongly due to their socio-economic standing. An overwhelming majority of 38 respondents agree that low-income households face more risk when exposed to the impacts of climate change, as it can be seen generally that low-income families have low socio-economic standing and thus have less access to the health resources. Hence, they are often exposed to climate change impacts disproportionately. According to the bar chart, it is shown that most of the respondents agree that climate change will harm the mental health of lower-income households through its effects on life satisfaction. They are most likely to have significant stress and distress due to the lack of access to resources, information, and protection due to the impact of climate change. Most of the respondents agree that mental health issues caused by climate change are always being neglected. According to the WHO Mental Health Atlas 2020, governments spend only 2% of health budgets on mental health, while lower-income households encounter more severe obstacles while getting support for their mental health issues, where 3/4 of distressed individuals are either undiagnosed or untreated. The majority of the responses believe that the main factor that will increase the health issues of low-income households in Malaysia is the reduction of safe food and drinking water availability. The harmful bacteria, virus, or chemical substances in unsafe food and drinking water could cause foodborne diseases such as diarrhea and microbial contamination.
Moving on to Section D, Awareness and Solutions for Climate Change. Based on the bar chart, we can see that 45% of the respondents strongly believe that the spreading of climate change awareness could reduce its effect. This promotes the long-term lasting behavioral change for supporting strategies in adaptation of climate change. Then, 52.5% of respondents strongly agree that the lack of awareness among youngsters are the challenges in reducing the effect of climate change. This is a serious problem, as the young generation will have the biggest ability to prevent climate change. In addition, 42.5% of the respondents strongly believe that the climate change can be reduced by supporting the government policies. A suitable government policy can be effective in minimizing the impact of climate change on the poverty. Most of the respondents strongly believe that the heightened awareness among the public is extremely important to resolve the effect of climate change on the low-income household. Moreover, most of the respondents agree that the Malaysian government should provide education programs and awareness creation programs to the citizen, as well as improve the public transportation system and infrastructure in our country to overcome the effects of climate change. Last but not least, 32.5% of the respondents choose neutral for satisfaction with the action of authorities which help to overcome the climate change issue. From this, we can see that the climate change issue is still troubling the citizen in financial security and health problems. To conclude, this research is conducted to raise people's awareness on the disruptive threat of climate change on the poverty. Besides, the findings in this study provide a new understanding of the zero carbon communities that could reduce the impact of climate change. In addition, the limitation of this research is the insufficient sample size for the survey form. The time constraint is also one of the limitations. Our group members have limited time to conduct the research due to the hectic schedule. Hence, a bigger and suitable sample size is critical for the future study. A longitudinal study is also required to achieve our objective more accurately. That's all from us. Thank you for your time.